My phone buzzed with a message from Mom. I swiped to answer. Teresa, honey, we need you to come to dinner this Thursday, Mom said. Her voice had that serious tone she uses when something is going on. Your father has an important announcement to make. You need to be there. I'm Teresa Palmer, 23 years old, and I just finished college last month. I have a degree in business administration with a focus on event planning. I've always been good at organizing things. My older sister, Janet, is 25. She finished college 2 years ago with a general business degree. She hasn't really settled into a career yet. Janet jumps from one job to another. 1 month she's selling wellness products, the next she's trying to start a fashion blog with her friends. Nothing seems to stick. But she always calls herself an entrepreneur trying different things. Mom and Dad never say much about her jumping between jobs. Thursday came fast. I pulled into my parents' driveway at 5:30 p.m. and saw Janet's car already there. When I walked inside, they were all sitting at the dining table, talking excitedly. There she is, Dad called out, lifting his glass. Just in time, Mom hugged me, and Janet gave a quick wave. I sat down and joined their chat about some reality TV show I didn't watch. After dinner, Dad cleared his throat and stood up. I could tell this was the big moment. I've made a decision, he said, looking at Janet and me. I'm retiring next month. I'm handing over the restaurant to Janet. My fork dropped onto my plate. The restaurant, Dad's pride and joy for the last 21 years, was going to Janet. Janet will run it, and she'll pay your mother and me a share of the profits, he continued. It's time for me to enjoy life a little. Janet smiled wide and clapped her hands like she had just won a prize. I just sat there, shocked. Dad turned to me and said, Teresa, you've just graduated. You'll need to find your own path. I don't have another business to give you, Dad said. Mom nodded. We gave you a good education. Now it's up to you to use it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Wait a minute, I said. You gave Janet an education too, but you're also giving her a successful business. I have experience working in the restaurant. I even have the right degree. Janet has no experience in food service. She spent college entering beauty pageants instead of studying. Dad's face grew cold. This decision is final. We're not discussing it anymore. I looked at Janet. She just shrugged and gave a smug smile. Mom wouldn't meet my eyes. Fine, I said, pushing my chair back. I should get going. I said quick goodbyes and left. As I drove home, memories rushed back. In high school, I used to organize themed parties and birthday events at the restaurant for free. Mom and Dad said it was good practice. I knew those events brought in extra money. I had shown my skills early on, and they had seen it too. When I got to my apartment, I still felt confused. Janet had never even liked working at the restaurant. She complained whenever Dad asked for help, especially during holidays. Meanwhile, I practically grew up there, learning everything about running the place. College gave me even more experience. I organized parties, graduations, and even weddings for other students. I had saved almost $20,000 from those jobs, planning to use it one day for my own business. That night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, I realized something important. I didn't need their restaurant. I had the skills, the experience, and some savings. I could start my own business, an event planning company for parties, weddings, and anniversaries. I already had connections from college and vendors I had worked with. I didn't need a fancy office. I could work from home and use my car to move supplies. By the next morning, my sadness had turned into determination. If my parents didn't believe in me, I would prove them wrong. I decided I would build something from nothing, something that was completely mine. I opened my laptop and started writing a business plan. I was going to show them I could succeed without their help. Before I went to sleep that night, I had picked a name for my company, Milestone Moments. It felt perfect. Every celebration is a milestone in someone's life, and starting my business was a big milestone for me too. The next morning, I registered my business and started reaching out to people I knew. No office, no employees, just me, my car, and a lot of determination. Let Janet have the restaurant. I was going to build something even better. The first 4 months of running Milestone Moments were really tough. I worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. My apartment turned into my headquarters. The kitchen table was full of contracts, the living room had samples everywhere, and my car was packed with decorations. My phone was always in my hand. I called old college contacts and vendors I had worked with before, friends who did catering, photography, and music. Most days I was driving around, meeting clients, picking up supplies, or looking at venues. You need business cards? Shirley, my old college roommate who worked at a printing company, asked. I can get you a discount. That would be amazing, I said, feeling so grateful. I was working on a very small budget. Because I didn't pay for an office, I could offer better prices to my clients. Instead of hiring delivery services, I carried everything myself. My little Honda became famous among vendors. They joked, "Here comes Teresa's mobile office." Whenever I arrived, I landed my first big client through a friend's recommendation, a 31th birthday party for 100 guests. The budget was small, but I made it work. The client was really happy, and soon people started hearing about me. About 5 months later, my parents invited me to Thursday dinner again. I hadn't seen them since they announced Janet would take over the restaurant. So, how's the job hunting going? Dad asked as he served the roast. I'm not job hunting, I said. I started my own business. Janet snorted. What business? I launched an event planning agency, I replied. I'm organizing parties, weddings, and business events, I said. Mom and Dad exchanged looks. That's not a real business, Dad said. Janet has a proper operation, an office at the restaurant, employees, structure. Yeah, Janet added. Where's your office? That beat-up Honda. They all laughed. Mom touched my arm gently. Honey, you should find something more stable. Maybe Janet could hire you, she suggested. I could use a waitress, Janet said with a smirk. I felt my face get hot. I don't need your pity job. I'm doing fine on my own, I said. Driving around town selling party supplies isn't a career, Dad said. Janet is running a real business. I pushed my plate away. I wasn't hungry anymore. I need to go, I said. I have a client meeting early tomorrow. As I drove home, their laughter echoed in my mind. But instead of making me sad, it made me even more determined. I was going to show them what I could build. 7 months later, I landed my first wedding job, 300 guests at the Henderson Hotel. It was a huge breakthrough. With the deposit, I hired my first assistant, Christine, a recent graduate with event experience. Together, we pulled off a perfect wedding, and it led to 3 more bookings. My family still didn't seem impressed. At Thanksgiving, I overheard Dad talking to my uncle. Teresa? Oh, she's doing some little party thing, driving around in her car. I don't know what she's thinking, he said. I bit my tongue and stayed away from family gatherings after that. Their negativity wasn't worth my time. Instead, I focused everything on growing my business. By month 8, I had regular work and needed more help. I hired Eric to handle logistics and Anna to help with clients. At first, we squeezed into my apartment for meetings. One day, Eric said, Teresa, we need a real office. He was right. I took a deep breath and signed a lease for a small office downtown. It wasn't fancy, but it had a front desk for meeting clients and enough space for our growing team. The monthly rent scared me, but it was time to move forward. By the 1-year mark, Milestone Moments was running several events at the same time. We had expanded to business events and even planned a charity gala that got featured in the local business journal. I now had 5 employees and a strong reputation for creative, well-organized events, even though we were still growing. I kept my spending low and made sure everything in the business ran smoothly. Every dollar we made either went back into the business or into my emergency fund. I had seen too many new businesses fail because they spent too much too soon. One Saturday afternoon, the office phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. Milestone Moments, this is Teresa, I answered. Teresa, it's Dad, he said. My stomach tightened. Hi, Dad, what's up? I asked. Your mother and I would like you to come over for dinner tomorrow, he said. We need to talk about something important. The next evening, I showed up at their house, feeling nervous. They greeted me like everything was normal, even though they had spent the past year putting down my career. After dinner, Dad cleared his throat. "We have a proposal for you," he said. "The restaurant is struggling. We don't have as many customers as before. We want to host a Thanksgiving-themed event to bring people in. My friend Brian recommended an amazing event planning company, said they're the best in the city." Dad paused, looking uncomfortable. "Turns out it's your company he was talking about. Is that true? Are you really doing that well?" I couldn't help but laugh a little. "You would know if you had ever asked about my business instead of making fun of it," I said. "Yes, we're doing very well. We have the highest customer ratings in the region." Janet leaned forward. "How much are you making?" she asked. I looked her straight in the eye. "More than the restaurant, that's for sure. Our revenue has tripled in the last 7 months." The room went quiet. I could feel the envy, even though no one said it out loud. "Could you help us with the Thanksgiving event?" Mom finally asked. I shook my head. "I'm sorry, but we're fully booked for the holiday season. Our clients book months ahead." As I drove home, I smiled. I hadn't built milestone moments to impress my family, but it still felt good to finally earn their respect. Tomorrow, I'd be back at my real office, not a car, leading my team and creating special events for our clients. I had found my place in life, all on my own, without anyone's help. For days after dinner at my parents' house, my phone rang again. While I was looking over proposals for an upcoming corporate event, Dad's number popped up on my phone. "Teresa, we've been talking," Dad said right away, without any greeting. "Your mother and I have decided that Janet should become your business partner." I almost dropped my phone. "Excuse me?" I said. "The restaurant is in serious trouble," he continued. "Janet needs a new opportunity. I'll take over the restaurant again and try to save it." My mind raced. Was this some kind of joke? "Dad, that's not happening," I said. "Milestone Moments is my company. I built it from nothing." "Your sister needs this," he insisted. "She couldn't run the restaurant properly, but she can help you. She has a business degree." I laughed, shocked. "She couldn't manage a successful restaurant, and now you think she can help me?" "Absolutely not. I don't need an unqualified assistant like Janet." Then Mom got on the phone. "We paid for your education, Teresa. You owe us." "You paid for Janet's education too?" I shot back. "Then you gave her a fully running business. I got nothing but your criticism." "We're done talking about this," I said, and hung up, my hands shaking with anger. I couldn't believe their nerve. They had handed Janet a successful business. She ran it into the ground, and now they expected me to give her a part of mine. The next morning, Christine, my assistant, buzzed my office. "Your parents are here to see you," she said. I took a deep breath. "Tell them I'm in a meeting." They came back the next day and the day after that. Each time, I refused to meet them. Finally, I told Christine not to let them into the office at all. When they couldn't reach me in person, they started calling, multiple times a day from both of their numbers. After a week of this, I blocked them. I needed to focus on my business, not on their unreasonable demands. 3 weeks later, Eric rushed into my office. "Teresa, you need to see this," he said, holding out his phone. He showed me our company's review page. Several new 1-star reviews had appeared, all with similar wording. "Terrible service. The director is incompetent and rude. Worst event planning experience ever. The director clearly doesn't know what she's doing. Don't waste your money on this company. The management is unprofessional." All the reviews were anonymous, and none of them mentioned any event details or order numbers. "Respond to each one," I told Eric. "Ask them for specifics about their experience." Within hours of Eric's responses, the reviews disappeared. The next evening, I got a notification on my phone, a direct message from Janet on Instagram. Just like the reviews, her message was full of threats. "There's more where that came from unless you make me a partner," she wrote. She even attached screenshots of the fake reviews. My blood boiled. I read Janet's message. She was actually trying to blackmail me. I didn't answer her. Instead, I called Edward, a lawyer I had met when planning his company's holiday party. "This is clear defamation," Edward said after looking at the screenshots I sent him. "Plus, her direct threat connects her to the fake reviews. She could face serious legal trouble for this. Could you write a cease and desist letter? I asked. Make it clear that I'm ready to take this to court. I'll have it ready tomorrow morning, he said. The next day, I sent Edward's letter to Janet, along with a short message. This is your only warning. Keep it up, and I'll sue you for defamation and interfering with my business. The fake reviews stopped right away. My parents also stopped calling. Finally, there was silence, and I was grateful. Spring turned into summer, and business was booming. We hired 3 more people and expanded our services to include corporate retreats. The office was full of energy as we handled multiple events every weekend. The peace lasted until early fall. It had been 7 months since the fake reviews incident. I was deep in planning for our busiest season when the front desk called. Your parents are here. They insist on seeing you, Christine said. I thought about turning them away again, but decided it was time to face them. Send them in, I said. Mom looked tired. Dad looked stubborn as they sat down across from my desk. Nice office, Dad said, glancing around. You've done well for yourself. What do you want? I asked, keeping my voice calm and professional. Mom fidgeted with her purse. We've put the restaurant up for sale, she said. We were wrong to pressure you before, Dad added, clearly not happy to admit it. We were in a desperate situation, he said. I stayed quiet, waiting, knowing there was more. Dad leaned forward. We're here because we need your help, Teresa. Financially. Since you don't want Janet as a partner, maybe you could give us a loan to help us through this rough time. So that was it. They hadn't come to apologize. They came asking for money. No, I said simply. Teresa, we're your parents, Mom said, upset. You'll get plenty of money from selling the restaurant, I pointed out. I know how much the property is worth. You're not as desperate as you're pretending to be. Dad's face darkened. Family should help family, he said. I agree, I said. But this isn't about helping. It's about you trying to take advantage of me. You gave Janet a business and gave me nothing but criticism. Now her failure is somehow my problem? No. You're being selfish, Mom snapped. I'm being fair, I said. You can solve your own problems, just like I had to solve mine. After they left, I felt like a heavy weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I had finally stood my ground completely. The next day, my phone rang. It was Aunt Samantha, Dad's sister. Teresa, I want you to know what your parents are saying about you, Aunt Samantha said. They're telling everyone you refuse to help them with money. But I know they have plenty of savings and will get a good price for the building. I wasn't surprised, but it still hurt to hear it confirmed. They're mostly angry because of Janet, Aunt Samantha continued. She refuses to get a regular job. She says she doesn't want to be just an employee. Your parents are still paying for everything, and now she's asking for money to start another business. Let me guess, I said. They finally said no? Yes, Aunt Samantha replied. But instead of blaming Janet, they're blaming you. After I hung up, I thought about it. I didn't feel sorry for my parents. They had created this mess by always supporting Janet and putting me down. Now they were dealing with the results of their choices. 3 weeks after that call, I was sitting in my office reviewing applications for a new event coordinator. Milestone Moments had grown so much that we needed another full-time planner to handle all our new events. Your 11 o'clock is here, Christine said over the intercom. I welcomed Pamela, an experienced coordinator with great references, and we started the interview. Halfway through, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Don't think this is over. Mom and Dad might have given up, but I haven't. You owe me, Janet. I silenced my phone and focused back on the interview, but the message stuck in my mind. Her threat came true faster than I expected. The very next day, while I was meeting with the bride-to-be in the conference room, our social media manager sent me an alert. Someone's posting lies about us everywhere. They're saying we overcharge and do a bad job. They're tagging all our major clients. I quickly excused myself and rushed to my office. Sure enough, anonymous accounts were spreading lies about Milestone Moments on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Contact our lawyer immediately, I told our social media manager. And prepare a statement for our clients. explaining we're dealing with targeted harassment. Within a few hours, Edward, our lawyer, traced the posts back to Janet's IP address. She hadn't even tried to hide it. Edward sent her a final legal warning, and this time he copied our parents on the email. The message was simple: stop now, or we'll file a lawsuit with the evidence we have. After that, the posts quickly disappeared. Then my office phone rang. It was Mom. Without even saying hello, she shouted, "What are you doing to your sister?" I took a deep breath. "I'm protecting my business from her attacks. The same business you and Dad called nonsense for years," I said. "She's family." "You're threatening to sue family," Mom said, her voice shaking. "She's threatening my career and reputation," I answered. "If she were anyone else, she'd already be in court." Mom's voice cracked. "Your father, and I don't know what to do with her. She refuses to find a job. The restaurant sale will be final next month, and she expects us to give her money to start another business." For a moment, I felt a little sorry for them, not for Janet but for my parents. They had created this problem by favoring her and making excuses for her all these years. Now, they didn't know how to fix it. "That's not my problem," I said at last. "I have a company to run." After I hung up, I sat quietly, thinking about how much had changed. 3 years ago, after that awful family dinner, I was heartbroken that my parents chose Janet over me. Now I owned a growing business, and Janet was still struggling, even though everything had been handed to her. The next morning, I got an unexpected email from Dad. "Teresa, the restaurant sale will close next Sunday. Your mother and I are moving to Kentucky next month. We've bought a condo there. Janet will stay in her apartment here. We know you don't want to hear from us, but we wanted you to know where we'll be." Reading between the lines, I realized they were finally putting distance between themselves and Janet. It was the first smart decision they'd made in a long time. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the email to Aunt Samantha, who called me right away. "They didn't tell you the full story," she said. "When they refused to buy Janet a franchise, she threw a tantrum. She even threatened to sue them for the restaurant profits, saying they had promised her money for life. That's when your father finally snapped and told her she was on her own." Later that week, we celebrated our company's 2nd anniversary. We had moved into bigger offices 7 months earlier, and now we had 20 employees and close relationships with key vendors. The space was full of laughter and excitement. As I looked around at everything we had built, I felt a wave of pride. "Speech," Eric called out, raising his glass. I climbed onto a chair, feeling emotional. 3 years ago, I started this company with nothing but a dream and my car, I said. Everyone told me it wouldn't work, that I needed connections, money, or luck. I paused, thinking about how my own family had doubted me. But what I really needed was right here. A vision, hard work, and eventually all of you. The room filled with applause. And my heart felt full. The day after our party, a delivery arrived at the office, a small potted plant with a card. It said, "Congratulations on your success. We were wrong. Mom and Dad." I put the plant on my windowsill, not sure how to feel. It wasn't a real apology, but it was something. 4 days later, as I was leaving the office, I saw someone standing by my car. It was Janet. "Before you call security," she said quickly, "I just want to talk." I crossed my arms. "I'm listening," I said. "I need a job," she admitted, staring at the ground.
"Any job."
Mom and Dad cut me off. "They're moving, and I have rent due next week." I couldn't miss the irony. After all her demands to be my business partner, now she was asking to be my employee. "Why would I hire you?" I asked. "You tried to destroy my company." She looked up, anger flashing in her eyes. "Because I'm your sister. Because I have nowhere else to go." "That's not my problem," I said, the same words I had said to my parents. "You had every advantage, Janet. Dad gave you a successful business, and you ruined it. You had the same education I did, but you spent your time on beauty pageants instead of learning. And when I built something of my own, you tried to steal it or tear it down. So, you're just going to leave me with nothing?" she shouted. I shook my head.
"No, Janet."
"You left yourself with nothing. It's time you learned what the rest of us already know. Success takes real work, not shortcuts. Her face twisted with rage. You think you're better than me? No, I said calmly. I just worked harder. I learned from rejection. I didn't expect handouts. I unlocked my car. I'd suggest you start with a real job, something entry-level, where you can actually learn the business from the ground up. That's what I would have done if Dad had given you the company instead of me. As I drove away, I saw her standing alone in the parking lot through my rearview mirror. That evening, I sat on my balcony, watching the sunset and thinking about everything that had happened. I still wasn't close with my parents and maybe never would be. Janet and I would probably stay distant too. But I had built something lasting, something completely my own. And I had learned something important. Sometimes the greatest gift is being forced to find your own way, to learn what you're truly capable of when no one hands you anything.